From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, EFCC Chairman Ola Olukoyede says 12 persons have been convicted for operating unlicensed pyramid businesses in the country. It's a new dawn in Enugu State as Governor Peter Mbah launches Enugu Air with a fleet of 3 Embraer aircrafts in its fleet. Windstorm breaks havoc in Bunza local government area of Kebbi State as over 100 houses are destroyed in Zogirma village. And on the international scene, Australia's Supreme Court finds Erin Patterson guilty of murdering 3 relatives and attempting to murder another at a family lunch in 2023.
On business news tonight, International Monetary Fund calls for deeper reforms to bring out Nigeria's economic potentials amid high inflation in the country.
On sports news tonight, Yannick Sinner reaches Wimbledon quarterfinals in bizarre fashion as a tearful Grigor Dimitrov was forced to retire despite holding a 2-set lead against the world #1.
And from the nation's capital, Nasarawa state government signs MOU with the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations as part of efforts to support the takeoff of the first University of Public Relations and Leadership.
Twelve persons have been convicted for operating unlicensed pyramid businesses in the country. The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, announced this at a workshop organized by the Securities and Exchange Commission for judges with the theme Repositioning the Nigerian Capital Market for National Economic Transformation through Alternative Dispute Resolution. And Mr. Olukoyede adds that 48 others are currently facing legal proceedings. Our correspondent, Sarah Achimogu, reports.
This event, organized by the Securities and Exchange Commission, aims at collaborating with members of the judiciary to foster growth, fairness, and justice in the operations of the capital market. In attendance are key players in the nation's judiciary, experts in the capital market, members of the National Assembly, as well as members of the Federal Executive Council.
We are deeply honored by the presence of our revered judges whose decisions deeply shape the integrity and efficiency of the Nigerian capital market. Your role in interpreting and enforcing financial laws is critical to investors' confidence, economic growth, and national prosperity.
We acknowledge the challenges that have, at times, hamper the full realization of our capital market potential. These include issues related to market liquidity, investor education, and indeed the perception of the efficiency and fairness of our dispute resolution mechanisms.
Recently, the President assented to the Investment and Securities Act. The law empowers the Securities and Exchange Commission to regulate the capital market for improved performance.
In the new Act, we have been able to specify punishment and penalties for offenders of Ponzi scheme. Even as this new law is in place, people are still duping others.
The law is yielding results as the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission gives update on its convictions of Ponzi schemes.
A few months ago, EFCC had cause to release about 58 names of businesses operating in Nigeria, unlicensed businesses carrying out pyramid scheme in Nigeria. CBN disproved their existence. SEC confirmed that they were not licensed, but they are operating. We have 5 charges against 58 of them. So I'm talking to you about 12 of them have been convicted. The remaining matters are still in court.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria is represented by a Justice of the Supreme Court, Honorable Justice Stephen Ada, and he pledges the support of the judiciary to protect investors.
When judgments are delayed, ambiguous, or uninformed, economic activity is stifled and confidence eroded. The judiciary must therefore see itself not only as an interpreter of the law, but as a co-architect of national economic order.
The sessions that will be covered during the conference include capital market laws, its ethics, and judicial interpretation for judges. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
The federal government is calling for active citizens' participation in the ongoing efforts to deepen public accountability and fiscal transparency in public offices. Minister of State for Finance, Mrs. Doris Uzoka Anite, stated this at the opening of the National Conference on Public Accounts and Fiscal Transparency in Abuja, where she represented President Bola Tinubu. The conference is jointly organized by the Senate and House of Representatives Public Accounts Committees.
Members of the committees on public accounts from the Senate and House of Representatives, as well as heads of government agencies and accounting officers, are attending this conference on public accounts and fiscal transparency in Abuja. Organizers say the objective is to chart a new course for fiscal accountability in Nigeria's public offices.
Let us seize this opportunity to chart a new course for fiscal governance in Nigeria, one that prioritizes transparency, accountability, development, growth, and responsible application of our resources.
The vision before us is clear: to establish a culture of fiscal discipline anchored on transparency, accountability, and citizen-focused service delivery.
Recent reports by the Auditor General of the Federation identify loopholes in some agencies' financial accounting system, a challenge the conference hopes to address.
Recent audit reports reveal that over 300 billion naira of public funds remain unaccounted for. More than 60% of federal ministries, departments, and agencies failed to comply with financial regulations. In this 10th Assembly, we remain committed to enacting laws that safeguard whistleblowers and witnesses, thereby strengthening the fight against corruption.
It is the duty of the Public Accounts Committee and other committees of the legislature to track revenues, how they are collected, how they are kept, and how they are disseminated.
The Minister of State for Finance, Mrs. Doris Uzoka Anite, declared the conference open on behalf of President Bola Tinubu and calls for active citizens' participation to deepen fiscal transparency in the country.
Let me be clear. Transparency and accountability are not optional. They are prerequisites for fiscal sustainability. I must mention that fiscal governance cannot be effective without active citizen engagement. Nigerians must be empowered to ask questions, scrutinize public accounts, and demand accountability.
The conference hopes to come up with strategies to reduce unaccounted public funds, cut rate of non-compliance by ministries, departments, and agencies, and improve Nigeria's standing in the Fiscal Governance Health Index through transparent digital tools.
24 hours after a Thanksgiving service by the FCT minister for successfully commissioning several projects, the only senator representing the FCT, Senator Ireti Kingibe, is insisting that Mr. Nyesom Wike is not meeting the needs of the people. Senator Kingibe says the true picture is that the people of the FCT resent Mr. Nyesom Wike for his attitude and failure to meet their needs. The FCT senator further says the people of the FCT will show Mr. Wike who owns the nation's capital in the forthcoming local council elections. She was speaking to our political correspondent, Terry Kumi.
When you go to Wuse and all those places where you have those high rises, it's all pitch dark. Most of Abuja is pitch dark. Do you understand? So I go there, put solar lights in between the places, light up the place so that young people will at least have you can't keep them at home, so they at least be safer. They would come give me awards, commend me for looking out for them. It's not that he wouldn't have done it too, except he doesn't know what they need. I know Karu Market is pitch dark. I put lights there. Communities will write to me. There's so much insecurity around this place. A few lights will make a difference. I put it. Solar lights are cheap, but how many can I put? For where I can put one, the minister can put 1,000. Do you see the difference? So,
if the people know this much about you, and considering the politics that's playing out, and the minister going about saying that you definitely will not be returning in 2020.
You know, I was not interested in running. You want to bet? I know for a certain that were I to decide to run, it's a shoe-in. Now, let me tell you something. Local government elections is coming early next year. That is when the people of the FCT show ministers, we like you or we do not like you. The local government election is going to tell whether Wike controls FCT, because nobody does. And it's only people who have lived here for a long time know that the people of the FCT have their independent mind. And it's people who live here, you walk on the streets and you will know that the one thing that unites us all in the FCT is our resentment of the minister. It's not just about development. It's about treating us with levity, treating us with disregard and contempt.
For the full interview with the FCT Senator Ureti Kingbe, please watch Political Paradigm on Tuesday, July the 8th at 2 p.m. Cheering news for air travelers in Enugu, and the state government has launched its airline, Enugu Air, with an initial 3 Embraer aircrafts, the E170 and E190 series. The Enugu Air, which is operated by XCJet, is kicking off with what the state describes as a golden triangle, Enugu to Abuja to Lagos, with plans to stretch out to Port Harcourt, Owerri, Benin, Kano, and across various other cities. Governor Peter Mbah assures residents and stakeholders of the state-owned airline's professionalism and sustainability.
A new dawn is here for the aviation sector in Enugu State. It's the official launch of the state-owned Enugu Air. The host governor, Peter Mbah, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, stakeholders in the aviation and banking industry, political leaders, and other guests are here to witness the event. The government is launching its air with 3 Embraer aircrafts, E170 and E190 series, to cover Enugu, Lagos, Abuja, with plans to stretch out to Port Harcourt, Owerri, Benin, Kano, and across various other cities. While the guests are seated, the inaugural flight from Lagos is sighted in the air. When it lands, it's welcomed with a water cannon.
Beautiful picture. Come on. The joy is uncontrollable.
The managing director, Zejet Emmanuel Ayuba, talks about the expertise they will be bringing to bear as official operating partners of Enugu Air.
Our mission with Enugu Air goes beyond air travel. It is all about building a brand that reflects the spirit of its people. It reflects the resilient, the proud, the capability, and the ready to soar. We are not just connecting cities, we are connecting heritage to opportunity.
It's time for some remarks, and NCAA Director General Captain Chris Najomo and the Chairman of Fidelity Bank, Neko Nyalipe, commend the state government's initiative.
The launch of Enugu Air is a derivative of NCAA's philosophy of ease at doing business without compromising standards.
As the lead financier of this very visionary project, we stand firmly behind its potential to unlock new corridors of opportunity, boosting tourism, accelerating commerce, and creating thousands of jobs across the world, across the Southeast.
Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, pledged the support of the federal government, noting that it aligns with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Do not let Enugu Air go the way of the Nigerian Airways. I beg you, run it professionally. Run it professionally. Do not let bureaucracy to kill Enugu Air.
Governor Peter Mba is optimistic of his administration's milestone as he talks about his conviction to launch the Enugu Air.
We began this journey with no empty promises. Among the key objectives we outlined on accession to office was a pledge to make Enugu the premier destination for investment, living, and tourism in Nigeria. When I remember the goodness of God.
With the launch of Enugu Air, government believes it is an economic enabler where jobs are created and serves as a strategic platform for Enugu's emergence as a regional hub for the Southeast.
In part two, after the break, windstorm wreaks havoc in Bunza local government area of Kebbi State as over 100 houses are destroyed in Zugirma village. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. EFCC Chairman Ola Olukoyede says 12 persons have been convicted for operating unlicensed pyramid businesses in the country. It's a new dawn in Enugu State as Governor Peter Mba launches Enugu Air with a fleet of 3 Embraer aircrafts. Windstorm wreaks havoc in Bunza local government area of Kebbi State as over 100 houses are destroyed in Zugirma village. And Australia's Supreme Court finds Erin Patterson guilty of murdering 3 relatives and attempting to murder another at a family lunch in 2023. All around the globe, the threat of nuclear weapons continue to stare humanity right in the face. Here in Nigeria, Vice President Kashim Shettima says the country remains committed to the ban on nuclear weapon testing. He stated this during the meeting at the presidential villa with a delegation from the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, led by its Executive Secretary, Dr. Robert Floyd. Mr. Shettima says Africa's priority at the moment is to address its existential challenges of poverty and the effects of climate change, not the pursuit of nuclear weapons capability.
We are fighting poverty. We are fighting a war against the incestuous relationship between economy and ecology in sub-Saharan Africa. We have no business dabbling into anything that has to do with nuclear warfare. So I want to assure you, I reiterate our commitment to the comprehensive nuclear test ban. And I want to appreciate your organization for the extra vigilance you have kept. Having 337 stations spread across the world. And the beauty of CTBTO's functions is that the monitors also have civilian purposes, especially in assisting us to detect tsunamis, volcanic seismic activities. So your functions are contributing to the global stability of our ecology.
So sad news from Kebbi State. At least 100 houses have been destroyed in Zugirma village in Bunza local government area following a heavy downpour that lasted for several hours over the weekend. Confirming the incident to Channels Television, a resident of Bunza, Haruna Danmalam, adds that many villagers sustained serious injuries as a result of the flooding. During a visit to the affected area, the Secretary of Bunza local government area, Mohammed Mao, sympathized with the victims on behalf of the local government chairman and assured them that the council would compile a comprehensive report on the incident and then submit it to the state government for necessary action. In a related development, 4 villages in Arewa local government area, Tungar Chindo, Tugar Kure, Feske Malabawa and Feske Rafi, were also submerged by flood waters. Over 60 houses were destroyed along with livestock and property worth hundreds of thousands of naira. So let's head to the nation's capital now, and Gloria Umezoke is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Great to see you again, Gloria. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Ayo. Well, we bring you more cheery news as there are interesting times for public relations practitioners in Nasarawa as the state government has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations as part of efforts to support the takeoff of the first University of Public Relations and Leadership in the country. But speaking at the occasion in Abuja, the Nasarawa State Governor, Mr. Abdullahi Sule, says the state government is partnering with the institute in order to drive its vision of promoting quality public relations in addition to grooming future leaders.
It is an epoch-making event as officials of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations converged on the Governor's Lodge of the Nasarawa State Government in Abuja for the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding. The president of the institute lays the foundation for the event as he goes down memory lane.
We were here precisely on the 11th of April 2024. I was seated here, you were seated here. We were all like this. Yes. And we came here to discuss a matter with you. We discussed a number of things, talked about the nation. We briefed you on activities of the institute. And we sought to partner with you alongside so many things because you are one of those governors that we identify that understand what this nation needs.
The partners put pen to paper.
The land has also been given.
The Memorandum of Understanding is sealed with a promise by the Governor of Nasarawa State.
Those things. I want to show great appreciation, my admiration, and my total commitment, in this particular project. That is the reason why we decided the conveyance of approval of the land, we prepared it and came with it so that we can hand it over.
The institute is working toward obtaining the license for the proposed university from the National Universities Commission, as the managers hope to operate a global citadel of learning.
This is the first time we are having a sharply focused university that will drive public relations and leadership. Public relations is a leadership function. Leadership is a public relations function. So we are now raising a new generation of credible leaders who will eventually become the new Nigerians that will see to the enthronement of a sustainable new Nigeria.
According to the NIPR, the proposed University of Public Relations and Leadership, which will be situated in Gudi, Nasarawa State, is backed by the Global Alliance for Public Relations and Communications.
Now, Fidelity Bank, one of the leading players in the nation's banking sector, has launched the first phase of its Lighting Young Minds initiative with the distribution of 1,000 solar-powered school bags for selected pupils from the 20 local governments of Ogun State for effective learning. Now, speaking at the event held at the June 12th Cultural Center in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the bank, Dr. Nneka Onyalipe, used the occasion to reiterate the commitment of Fidelity Bank towards supporting quality education across all ages.
It's indeed a momentous moment as selected students from primary schools across the 20 local government areas of Ogun State, accompanied by their teachers, make their way into the cultural center, venue of the Lighting Young Minds initiative of the banking giants Fidelity Bank. They are also joined by the wife of the Ogun State Governor, Bamidele Abiodun, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer and Management Staff of Fidelity Bank, the State Commissioner for Education, and state officials. They are all here to witness the distribution of smart school bags fitted with an inbuilt solar lamp, part of the Sweeter initiative of Fidelity Bank towards lighting young minds aimed at solving the challenges of power and allow people's access to unhindered and quality learning.
These solar-powered school bags will enable students across Ogun State to study confidently beyond sunset, free from the constraints of candles and kerosene lamps and the accidents that go with it. In Fidelity Bank, we believe education is far more than the mere transfer of knowledge. It is a catalyst for transformation, a bridge to opportunity, and the foundation of a more just society.
While seeking more investments for the education sector, she, however, seizes the occasion to highlight some other initiatives by the bank for education development.
We also have the Sweeter school fees support, a quarterly initiative offering cash prizes to help families cover tuition. To date, we have over 8 billion, which has been awarded for qualifying account holders. Fidelity Edu Loan is one of them as well, which is tailored to support schools to improve operations, upgrade their facilities, purchase assets like buses and the utility vehicles, as well as computers and all of that they need.
The wife of the governor of Ogun State, Bamidele Abiodun, and some of the beneficiaries of the gesture commend Fidelity Bank for its unwavering support for education and her pet project, the Ajoshe Foundation.
We know that primary education is the most important building block in the life of every single child. It is here that dreams begin to take shape and future captains of industry are raised. This is why Fidelity Bank Lighting Young Minds initiative is so important. With 1,000 solar-powered school bags being distributed to pupils across the state, this initiative directly supports learning in a practical way, especially for children in underserved communities where electricity is limited.
The moment everyone is waiting for finally arrives as the First Lady of Ogun State, joined by the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Fidelity Bank and other distinguished personalities, unveil the solar-powered school bag. We're still ahead on the news at 10. International Monetary Fund calls for deeper reforms to bring out Nigeria's economic potentials amid high inflation in the country. Well, that's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. Now, in a move to deepen its public health interventions, the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, has flagged off a human biomonitoring study in Ogoniland of Rivers State. The study will be conducted by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, a specialized agency of the World Health Organization. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, reports.
The conference room of the corporate headquarters of HYPREP is venue for meeting preceding the flag-off of the Human Biomonitoring Project, which is part of recommendations by the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP. This marks a significant step in assessing how hydrocarbon pollution has affected the health of residents across Ogoniland. HYPREP's project coordinator, Professor Nene Berenice Abe, outlines the significance of the health-centered intervention, which is to run side by side with the cleanup exercise.
As you may know, addressing the complex intersection of environmental pollution and public health in Ogoni is an important aspect of HYPREP's work, and we are deeply grateful for IARC's partnership with us and the united commitment to advancing this vital work.
The 3-year study will involve comprehensive sampling and analysis across communities and will also help guide health planning and long-term disease surveillance. Professor Zabe says the choice of WHO's International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, was intentional to ensure international best practices and credibility in the results.
It was a good meeting because we were able to define the objectives, the scope of the study, community participation, and all that is necessary to ensure that the study is independent and that the outcomes of the research will feed into public health planning, not just for the Ogoni people, but for other peoples of the Niger Delta and for the whole country.
The IARC team, led by Dr. Joachim Schuss, says its mandate goes beyond the study. It will also build local research capacity and open up future collaborations opportunities for Nigerian scientists in related fields.
To see where environmental living conditions of people are so concerning that they may actually increase the risk of cancer or other disease. And the long-term work of HYPRED and also of the United Nations Environment Program has shown that we find environmental levels of chemicals, substances, especially the hydrocarbons, that are so concerning that this is an area where this research is, needed. Not only justified, but really needed.
With full technical and institutional support from HYPREP, the health study is expected to complement other ongoing interventions being executed, including the construction of Ogoni Specialist Hospital, Boa Cottage Hospital, and periodic medical outreach services across Ogoni communities. Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
And over to Akwa Ibom State, where the people of Mpadedin, Ikotabasi, Eket, Esideket, and Ona local government areas have rejected the proposal for the creation of Obolo State from the present Akwa Ibom State. Presenting their common position at the Senate public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution held at the Ikotepene for the South-South geopolitical zone, the people vehemently oppose the plan, warning that it threatens their ancestral land rights and Ibibio ethnic identity.
This is the South-South zonal public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution in Ikotepene, Akwa Ibom State. In attendance are representatives of the various ethnic groups, traditional rulers, civil rights organizations, social cultural organizations, and other stakeholders across the South-South states of Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Rivers, Bayelsa, Delta, and Edo. The event kicks off with the chairman of the session and former governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Seriake Dixon, assuring participants of fair hearing by the committee, while the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, emphasizes the need for unity among the various ethnic nationalities in the country.
The review of the Constitution is not a sign of weakness, but it is a sign of strength. It is not a complaint against the past, but it is rather a commitment to the future. We are meant not to abandon, but to realign, to adopt our national charter to the changing realities, to the dreams and demands of the good people of Nigeria.
To all of you, our leaders and people of the South-South, that just like the verses of our national anthem, though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood, this zone will stand together. We are of different political parties, as the Senate President has rightly said. But parties are like markets or marriage. As living, others are also living. But the interest of our people in the South-South remains one.
Aside from electoral, judicial, and local government reforms, as well as human rights, gender equality, and security, the demand for new states takes the center stage, including the demand for the creation of Obolo State from the present Akwa Ibom State.
In 1976, when Cross River was cut off From southeastern states, the Andoni people were moved to River State. And we found ourselves in a place that we were lonely. Our brothers were on the other side. So we need Obolo State so that we can be reunited.
This demand is vehemently opposed by some of the participants who say that the creation of Obolo State would violate established boundaries and erode their cultural heritage.
Between the Obolo of Ibno and Obolo of Eastern Obolo were 36 miles of Ibibio land, and between the Obolo of Eastern Obolo and Western Obolo were 35 miles of Ibibio land, and so it could not be created. Those factors remain the same yesterday, today, and they would not change. The Obolo, as we speak, have no land in Akwa Ibom State.
The unfolding controversy over Obolo State underscores the delicate balance of ethnicity, identity, and governance.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's over now to Joke Rogers in Lagos for business news.
Thanks, Gloria. The International Monetary Fund has asked the federal government to implement more reforms that will help tackle poverty and tame Nigeria's high inflation. The IMF made the recommendation today in its country-focused article on how Nigeria can unleash its economic potential. According to the financial institution, the global environment is posing new challenges with elevated uncertainty and higher borrowing costs for the country. The IMF lamented that despite reforms of the Tinubu administration, inflation still exceeds 20%, and the country lacks effective social safety nets to cushion the impact of shocks on the most vulnerable groups. Nigeria and the Netherlands have commenced the renegotiation of their double taxation agreement to improve economic cooperation. The opening ceremony of the renegotiation was held in Abuja when the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Zak Adedeji, hosted a delegation from the Netherlands led by Ambassador Bengt van Lostridge. This follows a recent signing of Nigeria's tax reform bills into law by President Bola Tinubu last month. The chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service says recent developments in the domestic and global tax landscape have made the review of the existing agreement unavoidable. The Debt Management Office has opened the July edition of its monthly federal government bond offer. The 5-day subscription window, which opens today, offers investors attractive interest rates on their investments. This month's bond issuance includes two options: a 2-year savings bond maturing on July 16, 2027, with an interest rate of 15.762%, and a 3-year bond maturing on July the 16th, 2028, offering 16.762%. Renowned investment firm AfriInvest has reaffirmed its positive outlook for Nigeria's stock market in the second half of this year, maintaining full-year projected gain at 30.4% amid economic volatility. In its half-year market review, the investment firm's research unit attributes the expected positive performance in equities to a combination of factors such as sustained capital-raising activities in the banking sector, expected moderation in fixed income yields, accelerating capital expenditure by the government, fiscal reforms, and improved foreign exchange market conditions. And we're staying at the Nigerian stock market, which kicks off the second trading week of July in a moderately positive mood, building on the gains recorded in the previous sessions. Will Ibong tells us more.
Welcome to the stock market report. From a 0.01% close last Friday, the market is off to a strong start this week. The all-share index is up on Monday by 0.31%, and this gain propelled the all-share index to regain the 121,000 level, locking in that new resistance level about 235 billion naira added to the market cap, anchoring that 76 trillion naira mark. Let's see the movers and shakers for today. Giants in the consumer goods sectors: Cadbury with a 4 naira 85 kobo gain, Honeywell flour with 1 naira 20 kobo gain, and UACN 2 naira 10 kobo up, and Dangote sugar appreciating by 95 kobo boosted that counter up 0.75%, and the banking stocks are back on fire. Investors have cast their eyes on GT Co. Following the news of its listing on the London Stock Exchange, the first bank in West Africa to achieve this feat. But let's not get too excited just yet. It's just the first trading day of the week, and as we know, country macros, we're expecting the GDP numbers from the MBS this week, geopolitics, Trump's game with tariffs can flip the market at any time. And those are the highlights. Will Ibong, signing out.
Thanks, Will. We end the business news with more stock market figures. This time, we take a look at those global numbers. That's business news tonight. Back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you so much, Joke. More than 80 people have been confirmed dead, among them at least 27 girls from Camp Mystique, a girls' summer camp in Kerr County. More storms are expected in the region over the next 24 to 48 hours, with flood alerts in place until evening today. U.S. President Donald Trump signed a major disaster declaration on Sunday for Kerr County, as questions have been raised about whether adequate flood warnings were provided. It's Simon Fuse with more international news in Around the World in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Erin Patterson has been found guilty of murdering 3 relatives and attempting to murder another at a family lunch in 2023 in Australia.
I just can't fathom what has happened. I just can't fathom what has happened.
The 50-year-old cooked and served beef Wellington at her home in Victoria. It was later found to contain death cap mushrooms. Patterson's in-laws, Don and Gail Patterson, and Gail's sister Heather Wilkinson died within days. Photos showing leftovers from the beef Wellington meal were released by the Supreme Court of Victoria after the verdict. The prosecution argued Patterson knowingly put the toxic mushrooms in the home-cooked lunch, lied to police and disposed of the evidence. Patterson's defense was that she accidentally included the poisonous fungi and lied because she panicked. At least 81 people have been confirmed dead in central Texas, and another 41 are missing following flash floods. 68 of the fatalities, including 28 children, were in Kerr County, where a Riverside Christian girls' camp was deluged. 10 girls and a counselor from Camp Mystic are still missing. There are 5 confirmed casualties in Travis County, 3 in Burnett County, 2 in Williamson County, 2 in Kendall County, and 1 in Tom Green County. Figures are changing quickly as rescuers continue to search for the missing, and officials say the death toll is certain to rise. After 21 months of war, there are growing hopes of a new Gaza ceasefire announcement as Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets US President Donald Trump in Washington. Trump previously told reporters he had been very firm with Netanyahu about ending the conflict and that he thought we'll have a deal this week. Indirect talks between Israel and Hamas on a US-sponsored proposal for a 60-day ceasefire and hostage release deal resumed in Qatar on Sunday evening. However, it is unclear whether key differences that have consistently held up an agreement can be overcome. US President Donald Trump has hit out at his former close ally Elon Musk over the multi-billionaire's plan to launch a new political party. Taking to X, he posted, "We live in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom." Musk has repeatedly criticised government policies that increase the US national debt. Sir Keir Starmer, the Tory leader Kemi Badenoch and the Duchess of Edinburgh were among politicians and dignitaries who attended a memorial service at St Paul's Cathedral on the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 London bombings, during which 4 bombers attacked central London, killing 52 people and injuring hundreds more. Memorial services took place throughout the day to remember the victims, and their families have been gathering at the scenes of the attack.
7/7 was a seminal moment that changed the structure of CT policing. And whilst, of course, we've changed as a result of events and threats since then, we learnt a lot on 7/7, and that sustains us in terms of our regional model today.
Kenya's security forces have blocked all major roads leading to central Nairobi ahead of nationwide protests. Much of the city centre was deserted, with businesses shut and a heavy security presence on the streets before protesters took to the streets, throwing rocks and homemade petrol bombs. Some schools advised students to stay at home. Hundreds of early morning commuters and overnight travellers were stranded at checkpoints, some located more than 10 kilometres from the city centre, with only a few vehicles allowed through. And archaeologists have announced the discovery of an ancient city in Peru's northern Barranca province. The 3,500-year-old city, named Penico, is believed to have served as a key trading hub, connecting early Pacific coast communities with those living in the Andes Mountains and the Amazon basin. Located some 200 kilometers north of Lima, the site is thought to have been founded between 1,800 and 1,500 BC, around the same time that early civilizations were flourishing in the Middle East and Asia. Researchers say the discovery sheds light on what became of the America's oldest civilization, the Corral.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Super Falcons coach Justin Madugu is impressed with the team's opening win against Tunisia at the Women's African Cup of Nations in Morocco, but wants the girls to remain focused ahead of Thursday's clash against Botswana. In his post-match reaction with our sports correspondent Cecilia Morbe in Casablanca, Coach Madugu is confident Nigerians will see better performances from the team.
Well, it's a good one. We're starting on a good note, and it is our expectation that with every game we'll get better. We knew it was not just going to be as easy as we were thinking, because first matches, sometimes there are a lot of factors come into play, and you don't get the best of your team. But as the game progresses, the competition progresses, you play more games, certainly having corrected a lot of errors that you might see in the previous games, it is our expectation that the team will always get better.
Reigning champion South Africa got their CAF Women's African Cup of Nations campaign off to a perfect start this evening with a convincing 2-0 victory over the Black Queens of Ghana in their Group C opener in Abuja. Goals from Linda Maflalo and Jermaine Sel-Posenwa inside the opening 35 minutes gave Bayana the result they needed to assert their status as title contenders in the expanded 12-team competition. The result extends Bayana's impressive record in the opening WAFCON matches, having now won their last 3 tournament openers, including previous wins over Nigeria in 2018 and 2022. And Yannick Sinner has reached the Wimbledon quarter-finals in bizarre fashion as Grigor Dimitrov was forced to retire despite holding a 2-set lead against the world #1 on Monday. Sinner had been battling an injury to his right elbow and was trailing 3-6, 5-7, 2-2 on center court when Dimitrov injured himself, serving an ace. The Bulgarian collapsed onto the court holding his pectoral muscle and shouted out in pain as Sinner rushed to his aid. That's sports. Is back to you, Ayo.
And the main news again. The EFCC chairman, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, today said 12 persons have been convicted for operating unlicensed pyramid businesses in the country. He was speaking at a workshop organized by the Securities and Exchange Commission for judges. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night.